Hi everybody, this is Matt. Thanks for watching and welcome back. Well, many of you viewers have asked me repeatedly what version of the Sig Sauer P229 I like the best. Is it my P229 Extreme or the Sig Sauer P229 Legion? You know what? That is a really great question, and I appreciate getting all those questions from you, the viewers. Now, this will just be my opinion based off of my experience of shooting these firearms. Now, I've owned the Sig P229 series for a long time. I had one that had the ergo type grip on it. I'm sorry I got rid of that one because that was really great. It fit my hand extremely well, but I traded it off. So that's one of the guns that you regret letting loose. But fast forward, and several years ago, I picked up the Sig Sauer P229 Extreme because the dealer had a great price on it. He had been selling a lot of SIGs. This basically was a promo gun, at least that's my understanding. I snapped it up because of the price point on it. It is a great firearm. Works flawlessly, haven't had any real issues with it whatsoever, and it's a good gun. On the other hand, when the Sig Sauer Legions came out, I was one of the first people in my area that got one because the moment that I held it, the moment that I picked it up and looked at it, I just instantly fell in love with it. It is a great handgun as well. So what do I think? What's my opinion on the two, because there is a huge price difference? Well, let's start with something that I can't really communicate well with you over a video, and that is the trigger. You know, how do you actually demonstrate a trigger and how the trigger feels? Because I can have this 229 Extreme and manipulate the trigger on it versus the Legion trigger, which has a Gray Guns trigger in it. Can I really tell the difference between the two triggers? The Gray Guns trigger feels just a little bit smoother than the one here on the Extreme. But is that really a huge selling point for me? No. The biggest selling point, the thing that I immediately loved about the Legion, is this. That front sight. That green front sight is so easy to pick up. That right there is the single best thing that I like about this particular firearm, because my eye immediately picks that up. Green works very well with our eyes because of just the way that our bodies are built. So this works great for me. I like this compared to the standard Sig night sights that come here on the Extreme. Eventually what I would like to do is I would like to swap out the sights and get the exact same sights that I have on my Legion. But that is the biggest thing, the biggest singular difference for me. Now, what is something about the Legion that I don't like in comparison to a standard 229? Well, it's this right here. This is obviously what? Slide release, right? Well, if you notice, there is a big difference between the Sig Sauer Legion versus the Extreme. Let me try to get this so you can see them out there a little bit. The one on the Legion is very flush fit, so it's hard for me to get my thumb down around here on this. So I really got to work at it to get it. Now, I am a lefty by nature. So if I go to use this to release, it's extremely awkward for me. So instead, you know, I'm just going to release it like this. But look how flush fit that is. Just extremely flush fit. That's one thing that I don't particularly care about on the Legion. So I much prefer this right here on a standard P229, or in this case, the Extreme, because this is a lot easier for me to work. I can work it here, I can feel this positively, and with my left hand, I can actually just go ahead and release it. But again, I'll do it like this. So that's the main difference for me between the two guns. The biggest thing for me on the Legion, as I said earlier, is that sight, that high visibility sight right there. That is the single best thing for me personally. Everything else really doesn't matter. So if I had to do it all over again, I would most likely pick up a standard 229 or something like this Extreme if I get a good price on it, and I would swap out the sights. Eventually, I plan on swapping out the sights. I just simply haven't got around to it. But that's just me. Otherwise, like I said, when it comes to me trying to quantify, okay, you know, which trigger feels better and everything else, frankly, it's hard to tell the difference between the two of them. I mean, really, it is. And I know that some people would love to say, oh, there is such a tremendous difference that you've just absolutely got to spend the money. Well, my experience has been, no, you really don't. So I'm good with this tried and true one right here, because this has served me well. No issues, no malfunctions. It works. It always has. I'm assuming that it always will, unless something really, really bad happens to it. But like I said, eventually that Sig light night sight will go away and hopefully get replaced by what we have on the Legion. Otherwise, finish-wise, everything else, no big difference for me. So that is my answer for you. I would stick with a standard 229, and I would simply swap out the sights. If you don't like the trigger on them, you can always send it into Sig Sauer, and they can do a trigger job. Which reminds me of one thing before I close out the video. If you notice here on the trigger bow on this 229 Extreme, see how this is flat on the front? Whereas with the Legion, it is more rounded. So if you like a flat front trigger, that is not what you get here on the Legion. Something else for you to think about. Now, other people are going to say, well, but you get, you know, this checkering here and everything else. Well, you know, I don't get the same depth of it here on this guy, but it really doesn't matter for me. They both shoot well. The biggest thing for me, that front sight post, and that's it. So I hope that this answers your question. Keep the questions coming. I try to get to them as quickly as possible. So until next time, thanks everybody for watching. And everybody, please be safe out there and have a good one.